Zhang Ailing's Heart Sutra. An affair between father and daughter ruined the originally happy family of three. In many of Zhang Ailing's works, the protagonist's psychology or emotions are somewhat morbid or deformed. Weilong in the first instance is willing to be treated as a tool for unworthy love. Su Shi in the second instance is so naive that he doesn't know anything about others and ends up killing her husband. And Jasmine Peace's Nai Chuingqing's twisted psychology transferred the hatred of his family's misfortune onto others. I just finished reading the Heart Sutra. The protagonist in the novel, Zhu Xiaohan, is a 20-year-old girl. She fell in love with her father, and her unfaithful relationship with him lasted for 6 or 7 years. It not only destroyed the relationship between her parents, but he also let himself fall into the abyss of pain, causing the family of three to eventually live separately in 3 separate places. A seemingly harmonious family of 3 hides a scandalous relationship when Zhu Xiaohan was just born. The fortune teller said that the girl was destined to die from her mother's fate, so her family planned to adopt her to relatives in the north. However, her mother was very unhappy, and in the end she kept the child. No one expected that this child would cause serious shock to the family in the end. When she was 20 years old, Zhu Xiaohan said to her father, "I will never leave you in my life." She had been obsessed with her father for 6 or 7 years. During this period, she rejected all boys who admired her. Father Zhu Fengyi is very clear about his daughter's thoughts. Not only did he not reject his daughter's affectionate words and deeds, but he also doted on her like a lover. Although her mother, Mrs. Zhu, had doubts about her daughter's intimate behavior with Zhu Fengyi, she always regarded it as the child being ignorant and constantly advised herself to be generous and not care about it. The father's refusal and the mother's refusal to reveal the truth jointly created a situation where the daughter was deeply in love and unable to extricate herself. The apparent harmony of the family was broken shortly after Zhu Xiaohan's 20th birthday. On his birthday, because his father was late, Zhu Xiaohan acted like a lover to his father in front of his friends. This made the father suddenly realize that if this unethical relationship continued like this, it might ruin his daughter's life. So, he first said that he would take his wife to live in Moganshan for a while and send his daughter to his third aunt's house. Later, he deliberately kept a distance from his daughter and fell in love with Tuan Linking, who looked very similar to her daughter, and planned to move out and live with her in an off-site house. He tried to cut off his daughter's thoughts and gave her enough time and space to get out of this gray relationship. This was difficult for Zhu Xiaohan to accept. While she was hysterically accusing her father, her mother finally determined the unhealthy relationship between her husband and her daughter. When her daughter was about to destroy her husband's love affair with Duan Ling, her mother intercepted her daughter and asked herself, "Don't pursue it either." For Mrs. Zhu, compared to her husband's transference, the most important thing is to allow her daughter to have a healthy relationship. After her mother confided in her heart, Zhu Xiaohan realized that she had done something wrong. She fell in love with her father and pulled her father away from her mother step by step. It was she who destroyed her parents' love and marriage. She began to repent and obey her mother's instructions, arranged to start over. How could this relationship last as long as 6 or 7 years when a family of 3 lived under the same roof? The novel explains that when Zhu Xiaohan was 20 years old, he had been having an affair with his father for 6 or 7 years. From this, it can be deduced that when love sprouted, Zhu Xiaohan was 13 or 14 years old, in adolescence. In adolescent children, their sexual consciousness has already emerged, and their love for parents of the opposite sex will unknowingly undergo some subtle changes, and there may even be an element of heterosexual love, which is the electroplot in psychology. Oedipus complex, if the child consciously carries out psychological weaning, or the parents provide correct guidance, the child will soon come out of this period. Wu Shihong believes in the book Why Family Hurts People that if parents love each other, children will feel at ease to be a happy child, rather than delusional about being the adult spouse of opposite-sex parents. However, in the Heart Sutra, Zhu Xiaohan did not exercise effective self-restraint. His father also cooperated with his daughter's emotional attachment and gave her undue pampering. Mrs. Su said that after she turned 30, if she wore nicer clothes or showed a little affection for her husband, her daughter would laugh at her, and her husband Zhu Fengyi would laugh too. If he truly loved his wife, how could he allow his daughter to treat Mrs. Su like this? Obviously, Zhu Fengyi's love for his daughter Zhu Xiaohan far exceeds his love for his wife. At least, the intensity of his relationship with Mrs. Su is far from enough to make his daughter voluntarily withdraw from this abnormal love. Another very important reason is Mrs. Su's weakness. She discovered the abnormality between her daughter and Zhu Fengyi very early, which went beyond the father-daughter relationship. However, she always thought it was her own psychological problem and thought it was her own. Being stingy only allowed the continuation of this unethical love. Zhu Xiaohan's lack of self-control, his father's cooperation and refusal, and his mother's failure to stop him in time all combined to create this abnormal love. Love was destroyed, but blood ties were maintained healthily. Perhaps Zhu Fengyi's love for Zhu Xiaohan was because the boring marriage to his wife was too dull, so he was touched by his daughter's youthful vitality and fell in love. But for his wife, he cannot say that he has no love at all. Otherwise, when his daughter once again said that Mrs. Su was old, he would not say, "Without you here to compare with her, she will appear inferior to you in every aspect, and she will not grow old so fast." In this case, when he woke up, he could have taken his wife to live in Mogan Mountain as originally planned, and then sent Zhu Xiaohan to his aunt's house in the north. But in order to completely cut off his daughter's thoughts, he chose to live directly with his daughter's friend when linking. After all, Zhu Fengyi still loves her daughter very much, the kind of pure fatherly love. Perhaps no woman would think that it is something to be thankful for when her husband cheats on her husband and lives with another woman outside the marriage. But Mrs. Su feels particularly relaxed because it is her husband's love affair with twin linking that makes her daughter passively never live with her. Lan Lian was rescued. Although her daughter's hysteria makes Mrs. Su very sad, her daughter's future, especially emotional marriage, is at least much brighter than now. Zhu Fengyi's love for Mrs. Su has faded, but this does not mean that Mrs. Su does not love Zhu Fengyi. On the contrary, I think she still loves her husband deeply, but not as deeply as she loves her daughter. A woman in her 30s would occasionally wear beautiful clothes to reveal her feelings to her husband. Real love is not about taking possession of yourself. When her husband was living with another woman, she said, "He loves Ling King. He is about to be 40 before his eyes. People only live in the world for a few years, and their love is only a few years. Let him go." The first reason why she said this was to let her daughter break off the idea of this unethical relationship. On the other hand, it was also to persuade herself to let go. In this family, Mrs. Su puts her daughter first and her husband second, but she always puts her own feelings at the bottom. But fortunately, my daughter is about to get on the right track, and everything will be new. This is the greatness of maternal love. Seeing the choices made by Zhu Fengyi and Mrs. Su for their daughter. I once suspected that letting Zhu Fengyi cheat on when linking was a plan agreed upon by the couple. The purpose was to get their daughter Zhu Xiaohan back on track and live the life a normal girl should have. Life, looking for truly healthy relationships. Maybe, after Zhu Xiaohan makes a new transformation, Zhu Fengyi and Mrs. Su will reconcile as before and continue to live together normally. Maybe, Zhu Fengyi, Mrs. Su, and Zhu Xiaohan, the three of them will live well together again. Or maybe, they will live their own lives without disturbing each other. No matter which one it is, it will be the best ending.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.